Come in. I don't hear you. Hello. It's me and you so far, buddy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, there I am. Move this over here so it's like in front of the.
Take my hat off. Amazing blue eyes. Hi guys.
Hi guys.
Oh, you're like yelling.
Hi Karen.
That's weird.
Hello Rabbi. Our voices are picking up. Karen and Garrett and I are all in the same room, so I don't know how this is going to work. Hi Doug. Hi Sam.
I'm going to the other room.
Is this, if I talk in here, can you hear me? Or am I only through yours? Oh, I think yours is big.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Can you?
All right. I'm now muting myself.
That's what we found it had to do with Aaron.
Unfortunately, we can't hear everybody.
So good to have you all here. We'll wait for a few more minutes to see if anybody else jumps on, and then we will get started. Our icebreaker question is going to be, what are you freaking out about right now? one month, less than a month away from our trip. So you can think about what you're freaking out about right now. Don't think about it too long. So you don't want to get too stressed out. But
mine has nothing to do with Israel. It has to do with being the executor for this funeral and taking care of all those details and trying to find the original will. And so just a lot of complications.
yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that happening.
Well, it's goes with the territory right now, I guess.
And this was a neighbor or a friend that you were caring for?
A friend of over 40 years that
Wow.
we had the POAs for. So
Okay. Well, I definitely want to be praying for you, sir, and all that comes along with that.
thank you.
Wondering how Zoom lets me share pictures. All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Let's get started. And thank you for joining us. We'll see if a few others jump on. Doug and Vicky, it's great to have you with us. And thanks for sending in your profiles, and everybody for sending in your profiles. Those were fun to read through and just gave us some good information. So let's start just with an icebreaker. Maybe say your name and remind us where you live. And then what are you freaking out about? Dr. Bill already shared the thing he's freaking out about. Maybe it's not about Israel at all. But we leave a month from today. So mine is, and I'm Ryan, by the way, and I'm in Corvallis. Mine is the list of all the things I've said I'm going to do, both at work and at home, before I leave for Israel. So the list looks a bit unrealistic at this point, but we're going to pretend that I can accomplish it all. And eventually I'll get on the plane, and what will be done will be done. So, but yeah, so who would like to go next?
I'll go. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. We're Doug and Vicky. We live in Oregon City. And I'm actually not freaking out yet. It'll probably be the day or two before, and then I will freak out. Right now,
Okay.
I'm not. What about you?
I was just thinking the same thing. I wait until the very last minute to worry about things, so it'll be the night before. Which is okay.
We might pull an all-nighter that night.
It's okay.
Good. That's all right. That'll get you ready for the jet lag anyways.
Yeah.
Just pretend that night is day, and then you'll sleep, and yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
great. Okay. Yeah, there's no point in freaking out early, right? How about you guys?
I'm Margie, and this is Robin over here. Actually, I am not freaking out over anything. I'm ready to go now.
Woohoo! I like it. Good.
My freak out is a little more personal. I'm concerned where all the bathrooms are going to be when we're out walking around.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's lots of dry dirt. So
We did that in Altiplano in Bolivia.
Yeah. We're gonna be on the main tourist route pretty much the whole trip, and so they'll take care of us tourists, and that's one of the things they usually almost everywhere we are has good access to. And our guide will be able to point out those opportunities along the way too. So it's good. All right, who's next?
Me or Garrett?
Go ahead, Karen.
I'm not really. Okay, that's weird. I'm not really freaking out about the trip. I think I'm freaking out at the number of things I'm being asked to do after I get back, like right after I get back, and I'm not sure how awake I'm going to be.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask if you wanted to sing on worship team. That
Nikki just sent me a request for May 20th.
You can sing. Your vocal cords will be there, but your brain won't be. That'll take a week or two.
We have bells the Sunday we get back.
Yeah, their bells will be ringing for sure.
I go, yeah.
I've found that the first week back it's just rough. The mornings are okay, but about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, when you're used to being in dead sleep based on Israel time, it gets to be a struggle. So, but yeah, Sam, how about you?
His turn is.
You got your mic muted there, Sam. You want to unmute yourself? Your map looks awesome.
Hey, there's John.
Still can't hear you, Sam. Why don't we come back to you, and we'll see if we can give you a little time. Hi, Marnie.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Greg's golfing, so I'm here for him as well. So I represent both of us.
That's nice. Yay. Are you guys freaking out about anything?
Not so much. I think for me, it'll probably be go on work when I get back, because obviously we'll be gone for quite a bit. So I'll be back to work about 2 days after we return. So yeah, I'm feeling everybody there, and we're not too worried about the kids. We've got that all covered, so that part's good. But I think overall, it's just kind of getting back into the wind, because things will be back to normal as soon as we land. So
Sure.
And our daughter's birthday is the day we get back into town too. So she turns 14 that day. So it'll be a little bit of a birthday go as well when we land. So
yeah. No, good. So glad you guys are coming. Hey, John.
Hey, hi, Ryan. How are you?
Good to have you with us today. Anything you're freaking out about?
Thank you. No, not at this time. You guys seem to be really providing some great leadership and preparation. So nothing really. I guess probably President Trump's going to be over there sometime during our duration there.
Yeah, so apparently, maybe.
Oh, okay.
That was the other thing I'm freaking out about, but I wasn't going to share that in this forum.
Oh,
so
okay.
we'll see how that goes, and we'll we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
okay.
Yeah, thanks, John. That's good. Thanks for your encouraging words. T-Dog, you there? Thomas, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Again.
Okay. I have to use my office phone because the internet here is terrible, so I can't see or do much, except I can hear you on my office phone now.
You must be at a church if the internet's terrible.
You're right. It's true.
Anything you're freaking out about?
Not really. No, I'm excited more so than anything else. We got everything planned and organized. We have stuff for the kids organized, and no, I think we're ready to go.
Good. Awesome. And who's the 406 number down there? Is that you, Paul?
It is. Yeah, my app for my phone, the Zoom app's not working. So same as Thomas, I can just talk in here. But Paul, Billings, Montana. I'm not freaking out about anything Israel. It's probably the same as everybody, just getting work done. And then we got 5 inches of snow last night, so that's a little bit of a freak out. We can't get rid of winter here in Montana, but that's life.
Man, happy Easter to you guys.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Margie sent out a little PDF through our email a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, and it has on there 4 weeks of prayer preparation from a book, The Christian Traveler's Guide to Israel. And I thought Margie had a great idea just to invite our group as you're preparing to take some time and use that as a prayer guide. So if you have time in your regular prayer time, read some of the scripture, pray specifically for those things listed there. That could be kind of a neat way to centralize some of our prayer and begin to read some of those verses. I would encourage you again as you get ready for the trip. There'll be lots of things on the to-do list to prepare. Don't forget to prepare spiritually. To take the time to read scripture, take the time to pray, ask God to not just protect us but prepare us, and incorporate that in. So if for some reason you can't get access to that through the email chain, let me know and we'll get it to you. But Margie, thank you for sending that out. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, I think I would just invite us to kind of commit ourselves to reading through that and praying through that together here in the next 4 weeks. Really, 4 weeks from tomorrow, we're flying away. So, Sam, were you able to get your mic working there? Let me try unmuting you here. How about now?
No.
No go. Okay, but you can hear us. Okay. All right. In a little bit, we're going to have about 15 minutes. We're going to have Superintendent Randy Myers jump on. Randy is the superintendent of our Pacific Conference of Churches and is also the president of Pacific Evangelical School of Ministry. Randy's been to Israel, I think, 8 times. And I thought it'd just be great to have him on for 15, 20 minutes to give us a few tips. His support is making it possible for students of PESM and alumni of PESM to significantly reduce the cost of the trip. So we want to make sure to thank him for that. And then just give you a chance, if you want to ask him any questions about his experiences or different things to keep in mind as we prepare. So he'll be jumping on with us in about 15 minutes, and we'll give him 15, 20 minutes. Before we do that, on the Facebook page, I put a picture of Megiddo. Megiddo is one of the sites we're going to see towards the end of our trip, and it's one of the places that is the 2 times I've been there and the people that I've been with has been one of the most surprisingly enjoyable experiences for people. Megiddo is situated right at the crossroads of the Via Maris, the Way of the Sea, and the road that leads over to Damascus in the east. I put a link to an image there on the chat. And it was a city that was occupied since 3000 BC. So anytime Egypt or anyone wanted to go anywhere, either whether it's into the European continent or over into the east, they had to cross through this particular mountain pass, the Carmel mountain pass. And so Megiddo, it sits on a mountain. And so the mountain is called Har Megiddon, or the mountain of Megiddo. So if you've heard the word Armageddon before, The word Armageddon means Mount of Megiddo. And it looks out over the Jezreel Valley, and for centuries has been the site of battles, and all the battles are focused on holding this site of Megiddo. Because if you can hold that site, you control the crossroads and can therefore tax, monitor, control who comes and goes in that area and really throughout the ancient Near East. So strongly fortified, and just a place of tons of culture and history. And it's one of these places where when you're there in Israel, and really this could happen anywhere we are, you might be there to look at a site of Jesus, or you might be in Jerusalem and you're looking at the Western Wall, but you're actually peering through these layers of history. And, you know, for me, for a Westerner, for an American, you know, we go back to the East Coast and a couple hundred years of history, and it's like, wow, isn't that amazing? Well, you're going to be looking through thousands of layers of history there, and especially at Megiddo. Megiddo is a place where they used a particular type of archaeology as well, and we'll learn about it when we're there. And you kind of dig around the mound on the outside and dig down to see the different stratified layers, so you can keep track of what comes where. And so that's really something cool that you'll visually see there. And another interesting part about Megiddo, I'm looking for a picture here. There's this round altar that you'll see there that was used as a place of Canaanite sacrifice around 2500 BCE. I just put another link. Those are just some images that you can take a look at some point. So that's Megiddo. So I think it's actually on our last day of our itinerary that we'll go to Megiddo. We'll go to Mount Carmel, where Elijah battled the prophets of Baal. We'll go down to Caesarea Maritima, which was a Roman port built by King Herod to welcome the Romans over to Israel. It's also the place where Paul was imprisoned and appealed to Caesar. So, and it's a place where you'll have a chance to put your feet in the Mediterranean Sea. So that'll be a really neat adventure as well. The other thing that we'll see there, I'll put another picture up here, is an aqueduct. Anybody who's traveled to Rome or to Europe before? Been to Europe before? Traveled? Okay, so maybe you've yeah. So you've seen some of these Roman things, but there is a. Let's see if I can do this.
We didn't see anything.
There you go. You can click on that link. You like all those links on the side there? That's really not busy at all. Cool. And there's an aqueduct that runs right along the coast there. And that was Herod's aqueduct that took water from Mount Carmel into the city of Caesarea Maritima.
But hasn't washed away yet.
Caesarea Maritima was also the place where, because it got so hot in the summer in Jerusalem, the Roman governor would go and spend the summers there. And so they discovered a stone referencing Pilate as the governor of Judea, of Israel during that time. So just some really cool things that come out of there. It's also the place in Romans 10 where Cornelius, Acts 10, where Cornelius is, the Roman centurion, that is the first reference of the Holy Spirit descending upon Gentiles. So it's a beautiful place. It's a cool place. Last time Dr. Bill and I were there, it hailed on us. There was wind, there was sleet. It was absolutely miserable. So I'm excited to not experience that weather there in May. It'll be very pleasant. So Dr. Bill, you have anything to add about Megiddo, Carmel, Caesarea?
Let me just say with Megiddo, one of the good things for me, one of the things I enjoyed was going down to the well that had been dug. Goes down and down and down. And to realize this allowed, they walked this route So, and you can see that. That was very nice. And if you want pictures with chariots and horses, because this is a chariot city, you can get your pictures. Unfortunately, they're metal horses, but the chariots are metal too. So anyway, you enjoy. And the Colosseum at Caesarea is very nice. And as Ryan already mentioned, not only the experience with Peter being there, but Paul being there when he was taken. So there's all kinds of good history stuff. But that pilot excavation or discovery it shocked a lot of people, because there was, as you would guess, there's always some discussion about the historicity of the Bible.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of the first extra outside the Bible, extra biblical accounts we have of Pilate actually being there in Israel. And we'll actually stand in the palace. They've excavated the palace there in Caesarea Maritima, where Paul would have given his defense and appealed to Rome, and it was the last place he would have seen of his homeland before he was sent to Rome. And then that very last day, we'll head down to Joppa, and we'll have a farewell dinner there, and catch the plane home, and get ready for all the things that return to us that are coming back to us from there.
And I'm praying for very nice weather for us from either the top of Mount Carmel or from Megiddo, so you can get the view of this plain of Armageddon that Ryan already talked about. It's really quite expansive, and you can go online to just call that up.
Yeah. You can also, if you're into end times and all of that stuff, you can research bird migration patterns, and there are millions of birds that migrate through the Valley of Armageddon. And so I think in Revelation somewhere it references the birds of the air that come to feast on the flesh of the people from the battle. Really, nice imagery that you want to share with your kids.
Yeah.
And I think there was a battle there as recent as, was there a battle there in the 67 war? No, they wouldn't have gotten that far. But the British, when the British came in the 40s, there was a battle there with the Arab nations fought on that plain.
Battle in World War I, World War II, and there was a battle there, though, during the War of Independence for Israel.
Right, yeah. So there's just no, if you're taking a whole army, which is how warfare has been fought for many, many thousands of years, that's the only place to go. You have to go through that valley. You have to go through that mountain. So that's why it becomes a focal point of narrative and historicity. And for me, that's one of the really cool things that you'll experience after going to Israel is you'll realize how central the geography is in the development of the stories that you've read. We read these stories and we kind of know the landmarks and we kind of know the locations based on the stories, but what you'll understand after this is why those stories took place there, why they happened in that spot. So Megiddo is a great example of that because predictions about the end times and great battles, they didn't just pull some valley out of the hat and pick, it's going to be Armageddon. There was a history there, and it was the logical place based on the geography of the land. So again, as you prepare, as you're praying, as you're packing, take some time to look at the maps. And do a little bit of background on orientation of maps. We'll have maps for you while we're there, and we'll do our best to kind of help orient you. But that's another way that you can prepare. So before Superintendent Randy jumps on, do you guys have questions, specific questions, logistics, packing, some of those concerns? I will put up while I'm buying you some time to think about questions. I will put up a reference to a program that the U.S. State Department has called the STEP program, where you can actually register yourself with the U.S. State Department as we go to Israel. They'll send you updates if you want to get those updates. If for some reason there is an emergency, they'll locate you and they know that you're in country. So if if your spouse isn't going with you and they want to know how you're preparing for this dangerous place, this is a way to help ease their anxiety a little bit. I don't want to downplay the reality of tension there, but I also want to just encourage us to trust and to trust God for our safety. So both and, we can build the wall of Jerusalem with a sword in our hand. So, so any questions you have about traveling logistics or other things like that?
Yeah, we have one question.
Yes.
So Ryan, just from your experience, what kind of like I'm thinking equivalency of like Walgreens and stuff where you can get like personal supplies or like diapers or things for us. How common are those there where we're at?
It's going to depend on where we are. In Jerusalem and Tiberias, there'll be stores like that, probably not far from where we're staying.
Okay.
So
and the same way they're locked.
Yeah.
But when we're in the hostels, I think the first night you'll be okay in Tel Aviv, but you're probably going to be dead, tired. So
our thoughts are like, should we bring all of our personal items, especially for our son? Should we plan just to take the entire 2 weeks of stuff for him?
I don't know what the price will be, but it's exactly what Ryan has said. You need the stuff for at least the first 3 to 4 days. And then after that, we will be in major metropolitan areas.
Okay. That's fine then.
Yeah.
You agree with that, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, I don't know what the price would be. Probably more expensive than here, but you would have access to those things once we were in Jerusalem for sure. Probably a lot, and Tiberias.
Your question, Thomas, raises something that I think we've shared already. Because of our reduced cost and the way we're working it, we are responsible for carrying our own luggage up and our own luggage down if we're in a multi-story building. So what we're suggesting is that you have one carry-on, and that if you're traveling as a couple, if you can do it, that you have just one bag, one large bag that you've checked between the two of you. If you have more, that's fine. You can have more for free as far as United is concerned. But the issue is just for transport. And I think we mentioned that before, Ryan, but I thought I would just do it again.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the bus that will, oh, go ahead.
Well, in the first 4 days, because we're just doing one night stay, if you can get most of your stuff into your carry-on for those first 3 or 4 days, it just saves you a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Sorry, Ryan, go for it.
No, you're an experienced world traveler. So that's good advice.
Yeah.
Really good advice. So other questions?
Ryan, this morning, just a question on check-in for flight and stuff. Are we going to have the ability to check into our flights 24 hours before, or do we expect to check in on site when we get there?
We'll send out something. Hopefully by the next Zoom, I will let you know that. Technically, everybody is already booked. What we don't have confirmed yet are the seats, which people put in preferences for. Although we did try to get Ryan a seat that was the smallest possible. So
they're all small, so it doesn't matter.
And then Garrett requested, he wanted to make sure he had an exit row. So
I'm fine. I've been folded in all kinds of places in all kinds of ways. So,
but that is a great question, and I have this from another person not doing Zoom. So I'll check with our travel agent, and hopefully we'll have an answer by the next Zoom. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Any other questions before we introduce Superintendent Randy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. Hey, Superintendent Randy, thanks for being here.
Not a problem. Hi.
We we are glad to have you on, and we just thought it would be a neat opportunity for folks to hear a little bit from an experienced traveler in Israel, experienced trip leader, and someone who, you know, as part of the Pacific Conference and part of PESM, you know, has just been real instrumental in making this trip possible. So on behalf of the team, thank you first of all for your investment and support of this trip.
Yeah, of course, and you all need to know that's kind of goes back to Dr. Bill. He's the one that engineered it and had the vision for the trips, and so thank you, Dr. Bill.
You are most kind, Randy. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Here, I drop on your conference call and really don't know what you've talked about, so I'm excited about the trip. You guys are going to have a great time. I think some of you. How many of you are going for a second, third, fourth time?
There's only
Brian's been before.
Yeah, there's
Dr.
a few.
Bill's been before.
There's a few others that aren't on the Zoom right now, but are coming with us. 3 others that have been before, but other than that, everybody's first time.
Great, very good. Yep.
Yeah.
And when do you guys take off again?
4 weeks from tomorrow, so May 1st.
Okay, May 1st. Wow, that's great.
So we're down to the 30-day countdown.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I think, you know, Randy, it'd be great if you're willing just to tell us a little bit about some of your experiences in Israel, and what sort of advice do you have for these folks as they prepare to be in country, you know, for the first time.
Well, you guys are going to enjoy the trip tremendously. I've been there 8 times, which is not a lot. So and every time I've gone, I've seen something new. I've been challenged, and every time it's been meaningful. So, you know, it's going to be a wonderful time spiritually, relationally. You'll get to know new people, and even people that you know, traveling with them, you get to know them a little bit better. It seems like you always find something unique about somebody as you travel with them. And so, you know, of course, you guys have been preparing for the trip, and I'd encourage you to continue that. If you haven't done it systematically, I would actually go through your itinerary on your own and get on Google and start to Google the spots, jot down some cross-references as far as biblical you know, events that happen there. Just get some basic information with the sites that you're planning to go to, and even thinking of some questions you may have in terms of those sites. So preparation, I think, is half the fun. And of course, after you go, on the back end is reflection. My mother talked about this trip being the trip that keeps on giving, and the reason she said that is because now that she's been there, in her Bible study, as she hears a sermon, as she sings from, you know, the hymns of the faith, so much reflect back to the country, the land of Israel. So it's going to be a great trip. What I've done on my trips, I've always have had a survey asking people what they like, what they didn't like. And one of the questions I've asked them, it'll be interesting to see how you guys feel about coming back when you come back. But one of the questions I've asked the groups that I've taken is, was the trip less than you expected, pretty much what you expected, or more than you expected? And 90% of the people come back and say it was more than we expected. So, and that's hard to imagine, because I know you guys are all anticipating a wonderful trip together, but it's just that significant. And I'm so happy that you're taking the trip. I'm assuming you're going Turkish Air?
United.
Oh, United. So what are your connecting flights?
We connect in, we go from Portland to San Francisco, and then we go to, I think, is it Newark, Bill?
Okay.
Yeah, and then Newark straight to Tel Aviv.
All right. So your longest flight will be that New York, and I'm assuming that's a midnight flight then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like 11 something. Yep.
Right. And, you know, just a couple practical things. Plan on getting as much sleep on that longer flight as possible. And I would use, this is me, and I'd use a sleeping aid, either, you know, PM, Some people have used sleeping pills. If you go sleeping pill route, I would try it before you leave because some of them have side effects. But I would definitely, don't get on that flight and get in the mode that you're going to watch TV or, because there's a lot of adrenaline going. Even getting 4 hours on that flight will really help you with the time adjustment. I think the time difference is about 10 hours, and you're going to feel that when you get back, when you get to Israel. Another thing I would suggest, just again, some practical things, is $1 bills. I don't know what they've told you in terms of currency and exchange. Of course, they pretty much accept American money over there. Credit cards are good there too. But $1 bills come in handy. I recommend taking between $30 and $40 of $1 bills. Why do that? Number one, water on the bus is generally $1. And you're going to be drinking lots of water. The other thing is just little things that come up along the way, whether it's a snack or whatever in a vendor. $1 bills will be your friend. So I'd stick $30, $40 of $1 bills on the trip. Kind of a corny thing, but definitely something I'd recommend. So, and again, we learn differently. If you like to write, I would definitely bring along some writing material and journal, and I would recommend doing a little journaling every day after you get back, because it's so easy to forget things. Some people like auditory, and I've seen guys and gals take even a tape recorder and just run a tape. Have they record with the guide and what's being said at the sites, just so that they can remember that way. But if you want to retain something and you want to record something, that's something you have to take with you. But I've seen guys do that. I haven't done that, but I've seen a number of people just record things. Pictures are huge. I would encourage you not to be picture crazy. I think studies show that people that spend too much time behind the camera actually miss the moment. They actually don't see as much. Hey, by the way, Ryan, one thing that we've done on the trip, we always had a photo contest. So that was always a little fun thing that we did to add a little bit of the I don't know, the competition with the group. So
sure. Yeah.
Anyways, what else?
How's the food?
Well, food's great. We've always loved the food, and you guys will be having a huge buffet for breakfast and for dinner, and lunch will be on your own, I assume. But breakfasts are different because you get all kinds of vegetables and just a lot of variety. I really enjoy the food over there. Some people don't. I absolutely enjoy it.
That's good.
Make sure you have the falafels when you get a chance to do that. But
yeah. How have you coached people through and just help people prepare for safety concerns of loved ones at home, or just managing the tension between being safety conscious, but at the same time not being overwhelmed with anxiety about what could be?
Yeah, and like right now, you've got that whole Gaza tension going on. My suspicions is that it's flowed over a little bit around Jerusalem. You're going to see a lot more presence as far as the military. Israel is extremely safe. And when I say that, they are, I mean, they really, they're going to protect their people. They're going to protect their country. Again, you get discouraged, you get disheartened when you hear these conflicts going on. Actually, what's going on in Gaza, now with you guys going south, I don't know what kind of impact that's going to make on your trip. I doubt it will. It's amazing how close you can come to some skirmishes and never hear or see it, except if you get on the TV. One thing that we did the last trip, which was helpful, in that we did a daily kind of update, and it was kind of more of a closed group, and we took turns just summarizing the day and assuring people at home that everything's going well. And there's one situation that happened that we chose not to share, and that was at the northern border there in the Golden Heights. We actually heard some explosions in Syria. What was really weird is that our guide, Malcolm Cartier, was speaking toward us there at that border. You get the UN and that kind of that no man's land there. Some of you have been at that border, and he's talking, and we hear these big booms, and he doesn't stop. I mean, he's just talking away, and we're saying, is that what we heard? What we think we heard? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, were there any cloud plumes at all that you saw on the back? We go, no. He goes, oh, you're fine. And so he keeps talking, and so we got on the bus later, and that's all he said, man. And we're all looking at each other and going, man, we just heard some of the Syrian war going on there. And then he got serious. He said, well, that's probably as close to war as you want to be. He served in the IDF. He served in the military. But I guess one time he was there on that very spot, and they actually saw some plumes of smoke for some arterial fire that was going on there in southern Syria. 2 days later, there were some sorties into that same area, and we read it in the newspaper that had gone in and actually dealt with some of that stuff that was going on there. So we did not share that with the group back home. So, although we never personally felt threatened, we were weirded out, but we were never in danger at all. And so even as you travel, the bus itself, they're in communication with any kind of problems. They're very much aware of what's happening in Israel. And I think that this is a fair statement to make, at least at this point in Israel and in Palestine. Tourists are not targets. Tourists are not targets. Why is that? Because tourism is needed both by Israeli and Palestinians. I don't know who's going to, most buses are operated by Palestinians. Most bus drivers are Palestinians. Many of the guides are Palestinians. If you've got a Christian guide, more than likely it'll be a Christian Palestinian. Most Jews over there are Zionist or secular Jews. You do find some Messianic, but they're definitely a minority over there in Israel. Mm-hmm. So I would feel more, let me put it this way, I would feel more comfortable being in Jerusalem, in the old city right now, than I would in some portions of Portland right now today.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
So
that's helpful. Thank you.
And we all can die. We could even die in our bathtubs. And Liz, how do you like that for being morbid?
That's good. No, thank you, Randy. I think it's good for people to hear from other perspectives, people that have been there before as well. Do you all have specific questions for Superintendent Randy?
I think we talked about this probably earlier, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's going to depend on the exchange rate and things like that. But does the dollar generally have more buying power, like you said, take $1 bills versus doing the exchange here in the States?
I would not exchange your money in the States. You're going to get the best exchange rate over there or by way of your credit card. You're going to pay more in exchange rate always in the home country than if you did it over there while you're, and honestly, of course you pay in dollar bills or you pay in American dollars, you will get shekels back. But I have never had to exchange money in Israel. And maybe, Bill, you've done that, but they accept American, and then of course you get the shekels, and then you have to deal with that. And credit cards are widely accepted. If you go to a shop, it's the side vendors, and some of the lunch places don't accept cards. They only cash only. But there again, American dollars, you're going to get a decent bang for the buck, and I wouldn't exchange money stateside.
And Randy, you were there more recently than I was. Lunches usually $10, $15 is the option to buy.
Yeah, I'd say an average of 12. Yeah, $12.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes on trips, again, it's big breakfast, big dinners. So some people just bring snack foods and you can get through the day. We'll be back at our hotels most evenings by 5 or 6. So we'll be there in time for dinner, time to wind down. Randy, did your groups ever go back out into the old city at night? And do you have any tips or experiences with going back kind of, outside of the regular tour, going back into the old city?
Right. Just a comment about the food. I've asked about the buffet, and of course in the States, you take money from a buffet, it's called stealing. Over there's a little bit more leeway. They will allow you to take some food. It's kind of weird. I was chatting with one of the guys, and I guess I'm not going to even. There's a group of people in a certain part of the world that really take advantage of the buffets. They'll actually get the bread, and because there's meats at breakfast, they'll actually take stuff to their tables and make sandwiches for lunch and take them with them. Now, to let you know their disposition to that, they hate it, but they don't say a word about it. So you may want to be it's kind of one of those gray areas there, but it's not like it is in the States where it's actually considered. I mean, you get those signs in the buffets. You take food, we're calling the cops. So you can get away with taking some food. I think it'd have to be something moderate and subtle. Take an apple, maybe take a roll and a little bit of bread. So you can tie it over into your lunchtime pretty easily. And we've had people do that without any kind of problem. If there's any doubt, you could talk to the maitre d' or the tour guide. But again, I can tell you that there's kind of mixed opinions on what you can take from that breakfast buffet. Hey, the evenings, man, I'll tell you what, one of the things I've done, and it started the very first time, is every night when we were in Jerusalem, I just told the group, I'm going to the old city. If you want to come with me, great. So where are you staying in Jerusalem? Where are you staying? Do you know how far it is from the old city?
1.5 kilometers, if I remember right. So we're close. I forget the name of the hotel.
Yeah, good.
The Montessori.
Okay, I don't know where that is. So
no, it's not a 5-star.
Yeah. Well, I've never been 5-star. But I would recommend going to the old city. The one thing you want to check, and you can even check at the front desk, is the safety. For example, majority of times I could walk, and more than that, we were in East Jerusalem at the Grand or at the Ambassador. So we would walk. It's about a 20-minute walk where we were at, and we would walk into the Damascus Gate. The time before, there was some riots going on in very isolated areas, and they recommended that we could walk there, but don't go through the Damascus Gate. So we had to walk all the way around to the Jaffa Gate, which was a pain. The Damascus Gate, by the way, is the most ornate gate of the old city, but it's the main entrance into the Muslim quarter.
Mm-hmm.
The Jaffa Gate is more of a neutral area, and it goes into the Armenian quarter, and then if you kind of traverse down, it ends up into the Jewish quarter. Also, one time, they didn't recommend walking at all. And so we took taxis down. And then you got dropped off wherever. Usually the Dung Gate is your best access into the Jewish quarter. That's obviously always going to be safe. The Armenian quarter is going to be safe. The Muslim quarter, I've never had a problem there. But again, you have to find out. And the desk, actually, the people that are there on the ground will tell you how safe it is.
Good.
So
great.
But take advantage of your evenings and walking is the greatest way to see the area. And that's true at the Sea of Galilee. It's true wherever you are. Get out and walk a little bit, but do ask about safety in the area before you take off.
Good. Great. Any other questions? Go ahead, Dr. Bell.
When we were there, people walked in Tiberias at night down to the sea. It's really, and we hope in a lot to go to a Messianic service. Mm-hmm. And we have a Messianic service planned for Tiberias if everybody's not too tired.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try, and you guys can do what you want there. I try to make the evenings always optional because based on our energy level, I kind of thought, well, because I know groups they'll do a tour all day and they'll have actually classes in the evening. And
yes, that's what we do.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, I think that's wonderful. And, but it is exhausting. Most people by the end, 6 o'clock comes around and you've had your meal, you're ready to just kind of lay low. And so, but anyways, yeah, we've always made the evening more of an optional thing than a requirement.
And I was joking too. There, some of the students who are doing this in lieu of the New Testament class will have some work to do.
I wasn't sure if you were joking. I was thinking in my head, like, oh man, what are we going to be doing? I'm going to be ready for a nap. we will have an environment where those of you that want to process things, if we have some specific information to give, we'll kind of have a large group meeting and here's what you need for tomorrow. But we recognize some of you are introverted or you're internal processors. So we won't belabor the evenings for you, but we will create environments for those of you that like to process things externally to be able to do that as well. So yeah.
And go ahead, Dr. Bill.
Let me just add real quickly, Randy's comment about the money. Most of you know Brian down at Swiss Home. Brian was so excited. He got like 10 hats for $5, enough to take back to guys he wanted to in his congregation. So you keep those $1 bills. They like them.
Yeah.
And keep them crisp.
Any further, any final questions for Superintendent Randy? Anything else you want to say or ask?
I'll make a comment about your trip. Your trip is probably the most comprehensive, as far as a first-time trip, far more thorough than I've ever taken. And so you guys have done a good job of really getting a great trip together. The cost is phenomenal, and the places you're going are over the top, and it's a well organized. The itinerary, I'll tell you what, to me, it's the best I've ever seen. So good job, guys.
Thank you, Superintendent Randy. Thank you for your support of this.
Yes, very much so. We could not do this without you, so thank you.
All right. Well, we'll keep you posted, and thank you for being with us, Superintendent Randy.
Hey, thanks for inviting me on. And I'm excited for you guys. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. See you later. Yep.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Shalom.
No.
Just a few kind of wrap up things. We would like to do one more Zoom meeting on April 16th. We are hoping to actually have our tour operator, Tally, with us. She will be in country here in the United States. She won't be in country when we're there in Israel, but she's been the one that's been putting this itinerary together. She and her husband, Daniel, live in Israel. Daniel is a Messianic Jew. And so we're hoping that Tally will be able to join us for that April 16th. And then we'll just have some final details about your boarding passes and ticketing and those types of things, and be able to pray together. So if you're able to join us on April 16th at noon. Any final thoughts or questions or things you'd like to share?
We gotta sign off here. We got missionary luncheon to go to.
Okay, well, you go be the missionary lunches, and let's commit to praying that over that document that Margie sent out over the next 4 weeks. Shalom, lahitraot. See you later. We'll see you on the 16th, or over email. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Ryan.
Right.
Thanks, Ryan.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Next month in Jerusalem.
Thank you.